is for part 2, get up into. Thus, we talk about marriage can be happy part 2. Thus, as on another occasion, stopped there this morning and he answered his opponents by stating a fundamental truth. So Jesus spoke of fundamental truth. We're talking about when the leaders asked him about divorce, and he started by using a fundamental truth, and it's in the case of marriage was divinely intended to unite two persons for eternity. And point number 1 is it preserve unity at all costs. The two shall become one, said Jesus, so that they are no longer two but one. Obviously, it was the gracious design of the divine architect of the Constitution that the man and woman should be united not only legally but totally. A wedding should be two hearts laid upon an altar that is aglow with the fire of divine love, here to be fused and forged into a sacred instrument for God, and coming forth more strong, more efficient, more durable than ever one could be alone. It should be a trysting place at the crossroads of life where two travelers meet, and link in arms and minds and hearts, stride together with tenfold more confidence and zeal towards one noble purpose and one holy goal. It should be the beginning of a lifelong experience of thinking together, planning together, hoping together, and praying together. The beautiful oneness should pervade every phase of life from wedding day till journey's end. It's not without good reason that the formal words employed at a wedding ceremony include the solemn pledge, I take thee, for better or worse, rich or poor, sickness and in health, to love and to cherish, until death do us part. It is based on six millenniums of experience, and it is vital to married happiness. All tragic, so many brides and grooms recite the words all too carelessly, without a thought for the solemnity of the promise. The precious unity of marriage should be guarded with the utmost diligence, and never should it be spoken of facetiously. It is too valuable to fritter away in idle jesting. How many have wished, too late, that the first hint of separation had never been spoken? Encircle the vital unity with protecting walls of love. Loving words, loving deeds, mutual thoughtfulness, mutual tolerance, mutual forgiveness. That's so significant. But it takes two to forgive. Else can't happen. Just can't. No matter how one person wants it, it has to be mutually. Above all, with a determination to stick together, always comes what may. This way lies happiness. Yeah. Point number 2, keep confidence. From the moment two young people leave on their honeymoon, they should resolve that there are some things they will tell nobody else on earth. Some things only for the married circle. So I said parents out, okay? Because henceforth they belong together, they should keep their innermost secrets to themselves. And sometimes they need help, they need counseling. So it's not all kind of a blanket statement, but you know what I mean when I said that. Nothing will contribute more to preserving unity than keeping private matters within the walls of the new home. That is where they belong. That is where they should be kept, and they are nobody else's business, not even of close relatives or old friends. Each home, if it is to last, must have a sacred citadel of exclusiveness, where no prying eyes or gossiping tongues are permitted. Mutual trust thus fostered will grow with the passing years. No outside influence will ever beget suspicion or insert the first wedge of doubt. This way lies happiness. Settle misunderstanding at once. Two persons of different background and upbringing, sometimes of different nationality and language, are bound to have misunderstanding. It would be unrealistic to expect otherwise. These are parts of the adjustment that marriage entails, but they should never be allowed to develop into long, drawn-out quarrels. Your Bible suggests that they should be settled on the same day, and I take this quite seriously. Never let the sun go down on your wrath. Even within your family relationships, always try to settle before you go to bed. And that's why a lot of people live in guilt and regrets, because their loved ones have passed on and they've had unsettled differences that have been died for that loved one. So now they have to find means of way of saying goodbye and receiving and allowing themselves to not be guilty, but to relieve themselves from that guilt they carry of the unreconciled and the unforgiveness that hasn't been dealt with. Okay, do not let the sun go down on your anger, says Ephesians 4 verse 26. That's something I've tried most of my life where possible. It's not always possible. Even my siblings, when we were miles away, I try to, any disagreement, if any, you call to kind of clarify before the end of the day, so you can both sleep more freely, and not have that differences of opinions hanging around for another day. Agreement may come only as a result of one party's backing down from a position taken in the heat of argument, saying, I'm sorry. That's all it takes. I'm sorry. Yeah. Taking accountability. Not too big to say I'm sorry. I remember you say that. Yeah. I'm not too big to say I'm wrong. Mommy always justify when she's going to punish you. Always, 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 always. Bless her heart. Ah, my mommy. Agreements may come only as a result of one's party's backing down from a position taken in the heat of argument. So say, I'm sorry of any unkind or ungenerous deed. And it's humility. It takes humility to say, I'm sorry when you've wronged someone. But it's a rewarding attitude to take infinitely, preferably to letting the misunderstanding fester until it bursts into open enmity. Always say you're sorry. Come on, it doesn't take much. Hey, 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 just say I'm sorry. Mean it, mean it. As it doesn't worth anything. The cost, so a lot of us have too many false pride and we're too pompous. And God says he hates a proud look. God hates pride. And because our egos have been bruised, we're just afraid of saying, hey, I've wronged you. Or I'm sorry. I know some people don't know how to appreciate this word, but I'm sorry, that's not what I meant. But the fact that it hurt your feelings, I am sorry. Sometimes we're so puffed up and we're so filled with our own baggages that when someone really genuinely say I'm sorry, and that they didn't intend what you've interpreted, the reason why you've gotten what you've gotten is because you were already feeling hurt and upset about something. So you read into what the person said and you're not humble enough to say, hey, I was having a hard day. Hey, I snapped at you and I didn't mean to. And this is why we're having problems. Communication is not so complicated. It's you being what some people would term the bigger person. And I'm not gonna look at the bigger person, being humble enough and being the Christ-like person to say, hey, I really didn't mean it that way. And when someone tell you that, they're apologizing. It's not how you think apology should come. We're all different. And understand, a person says, I trust their opinion. Don't judge them in before, and crucify them and, oh, you're not really sorry. Who says apology must come the other way? The person is saying, I did not intend it that way. And that's what they mean. You receive it that way. And because you receive it the way they did not intend, they're now saying, I am sorry. So that's why we're having, marriage can be a happy place. It's just learning how to communicate and what to follow up and not to follow up with. But it's a rewarding attitude to take, okay? Agreement may come only as a result of one party's backing down from a position, taking into the heat of argument and saying, I'm sorry. And, it doesn't always work when one person is always doing it. But it's rewarding. The costliness of petty grievances, cherished and unresolved, is beyond calculation. Every highway to a divorce court is strewn with the resulting wreckages of unforgiveness. At the onset of any quarrel, you can read these cooling words. I beg you to lead a life worthy of the calling to which you have been called, with all lowliness and meekness, with patience and forbearing one another in love, eager to maintain the unity of the Spirit and the bond of peace. Verses 1 to 3. This way lies happiness. 4. Let love prevail, my friends. Let love prevail. This is a solution for most difficulties. Above all, hold unfailing your love for one another, wrote Peter, since love covers a multitude of sin. Like 1 Peter 4 verse 8, like you'd say, we went wrong. No, we did not went wrong. You did. But for a peaceful life, what's the point, as mommy would say again? I'm talking about mommy a lot this morning. Her birthday's coming up, huh? So, what mommy would say, you can win the argument and lose the battle. Or you can, how does it go again? I get confused. You can win the battle and lose something, lose the argument, whatever it was. Yes. But see, my mom has a lot of sayings, yeah. Never let love die out. Keep it alive, whatever may have been said or done. Keep it unfailing, and sooner or later it will cover all sins. The hurts will be healed and the mistakes will be forgotten. The impatience and kindness will be forgiven. Now give a chance, love will prevail always, and this was the burden of Paul's letter to the Ephesians. Husbands, love your wives as Christ loves the church and gave himself for her, that he might sanctify her, having cleansed her by the washing of water in the word, and the church might be presented before him splendor, without spot or wrinkle or any such thing, that she might be holy and without blemish. And that's what I've said from day one in part one. If you love your wives as Christ loved the church, you will have not most reasonable woman will have a problem with you. So even so, husbands and wives, you should do the same. The Bible says, submit one to another. That's what the Bible says. Even so, husbands, love your wives as their own bodies. If you love your own bodies, you won't abuse it. You won't beat it, right? So he loves his wife, loves himself. He who loves his wife loves himself. For no man ever hates his own flesh, but nourishes and cherishes it, as Christ does the church, because we are members of his body. Ephesians 5, verse 25 to 31. So if you become the king of our castle and she becomes the queen of your castle, then kings and queens behave like kings and queens. I'm not talking about the show for the world. I'm talking about the godly kings and queens. So he couldn't have spoken more plainly and helpfully. Husbands should love their wives with the same selfless, sacrificial love. Yes, we're back at it. Sorry, almost done. And it was a lie. So let God direct. A dedicated marriage will never break. When husband and wife gladly put God first in everything and look to him for direction in all their affairs, not saying you're not have struggles, but God will direct your path and stick to it together. And they will be blessed with a peace, harmony, and contentment that will be the envy of their friends. Unity of worship, unity of devotion, unity of sacrifice will do more than anything else to keep a marriage durable. Therefore, if you want your marriage to last, share your Christian experience. Pray to God together. Read the Bible together. Seek God in your decision making. Go to church together. Say with Joshua, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. This way is happiness lies. And then tomorrow we'll be looking at Only Can Be Beautiful. So we're halfway through a series, and just hang on with me, and I hope it's been enriching your walk and your experience with God. Have a blessed day. Bless, bless. God bless you and keep you. May his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you and give you peace. Bless, bless.